I'm Saori Ehara, a 28-year-old housewife. Today, I'd like to talk about an epic battle. It happened between my husband, my parents-in-law, and me. I joined a trading company after graduating from university. I worked diligently and got a good position at a young age. Then I met Jin Ihara, my new boss in my new department. He was 34 at the time. I was 27. He was a very energetic and dependable leader.
Okay, we're almost there! We can do it!
He always encouraged and led others to achieve results. Soon, I found myself attracted to him. But I knew I couldn't involve my personal feelings in the workplace. I had to do my job well before anything else. So I decided not to express my feelings for him. However, our distance suddenly became closer during a client reception. We had to drink a lot at these parties. But I'm not good at drinking, and I couldn't handle the amount of alcohol, so I left the table to go to the restroom.
Saori! I'm sorry for keeping you here so late.
I'm sorry, Chief Ihara. I have to take a break.
Don't be sorry. You've had enough to drink as a woman. Clients all applauded you, Saori.
Thanks.
You should go home now. I'll explain to the clients.
Are you sure?
Yes, don't worry. It is my duty to take care of my employees. Thank you for today.
Then he brought me my belongings. At that moment, I was completely captivated by Chief Ihara. The next day.
Saori! Were you okay last night?
Yes, thank you. I also don't have a hangover today.
Great! I'm looking forward to your good work today.
He began to talk to me in this way. Soon, he started asking me out to dinner after work. I was so happy to know that he was also interested in me. After about a year of dating,
Please marry me! I promise I'll make you happy!
I said yes without hesitation. After that, I went with him to his parents' house to greet them. I met my mother-in-law, Akiko, and my father-in-law, Sosuke. They looked like a regular middle-aged couple. They seemed to welcome me with open arms. You are going to support Jin fully from now on, right? Akiko said.
It's a woman's duty to take care of the house!
For some reason, they just decided that I would become a housewife after marriage. Well, I guess it's understandable that people their age would think that way. But Jin went on saying,
So, when are you gonna quit? I think you should let the company know as soon as possible.
Apparently, Jin had also decided that I become a full-time housewife. We hadn't even discussed it yet. But I was too excited about getting married to Jin at that time, so I agreed to quit my job. I brought the news to my bosses first and then to my colleagues, and I left the company a month later. Jin and I moved into our new house right after the wedding. My life as a housewife had officially begun.
Hey, I'm bringing employees over tonight. Can you get drinks and snacks ready?
It's already midnight. Are you sure about this?
Yeah, we haven't had enough to drink.
But I'm already in bed.
Huh? You went to bed before I got home?
That's because I don't know when you're coming home.
Stop making excuses. As a wife, it's your duty to stay up until your husband gets home.
My duty?
Isn't that common sense? Just get up and get ready. I won't accept it if you don't get everything ready.
Okay. Jin started bossing me around like this. I wouldn't mind if he did it once in a while, but...
I want to have meat. You need to remake the dinner. Why isn't my lucky tie ironed? Do it now!
He would make sudden and unreasonable demands regardless of my situation.
Bring me a beer! Give me the TV remote. Prepare a bath for me.
Whenever I was home, he wouldn't move away from the couch at all. He made me do every little thing for him and treated me like a housemaid. He basically embodied the Showa era's dominant husband mentality. Even though he is older than me, he was still in his 30s. I never thought he'd become such a Showa era husband. Such life continued for about half a year. Then we got some happy news. I'm pregnant.
Wow! That's great!
Jin was so happy that we were going to have a baby. I thought maybe he would change after the baby was born. But he maintained the same attitude throughout my pregnancy. When I was unable to move due to morning sickness,
My mother told me that morning sickness is not a disease. Don't be so spoiled. Get up and do housework. How can you be a good mother if you act so lazy?
Jin never stopped yelling at me for not doing enough. He also never once accompanied me to my checkups. He didn't even come to the hospital because of work when I went into labor. After a lonely pregnancy, I finally gave birth to a healthy baby girl. I still thought my husband would change after he saw the newborn. I had a faint hope that he'd try to be a good father. But I soon learned how naive I was. It's not that he didn't care about the baby. He did hold her in his arms and play with her, but he wouldn't do anything that's considered childcare. He never did tasks like changing diapers, giving baths, or feeding the baby. Whenever the baby cried, he only called me to take care of the baby, even though he was not busy. To top it all off, "Hey, where are you?"
I'm at the golf store. The manager called me an hour ago and told me they got the iron I was looking for.
What did I say before I left? I told you I'm going to the bank and will be back in 2 hours.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
I asked you to watch your daughter while I was gone.
Oh, all right.
What the hell were you thinking? I came home and found the baby crying by herself. I was so surprised I even screamed.
Big deal. It was only an hour. Besides, it's your job to take care of the baby.
Are you serious?
I didn't say anything wrong.
Yes, even during the few hours I went out. Jin wouldn't do his job as a father. He just left our 6-month baby alone at home. He not only failed as a parent, but also failed as a human being. I couldn't tolerate it anymore. She's only 6 months old. What if something happens to her? Can you at least act like a parent? Without a hint of apology, Jin replied,
I'm tired from working every day. You're a stay-at-home mom whose job it is to take care of the baby and the house. Now don't you dare talk back to me. You should be grateful for the life I provide you.
If I put what he said to me on the internet, I'm sure it'd receive a lot of criticism. I sighed and wondered what molded his mind for him to think like that. We got into the most heated argument we had ever had since we got married. But in the end, nothing changed. Jin said, I'm going out for a drink, and left the house. He came back so drunk that he had already forgotten about our fight. Then he just passed out on the sofa. It was so unbelievable. He was indeed a very reliable boss at work. I also didn't feel this kind of insanity when we were dating. So my question was, why would he become a man who treats his wife so poorly? I didn't find the answer until later. One day, my parents-in-laws came to visit us. As soon as they arrived, my father-in-law sat down on the sofa and said,
I'm so tired. Sayori, quick, bring me a beer and something to snack on.
As soon as he sat down, he demanded drinks and food as a matter of course. It was just like what Jin did when he came home from work.
Make me something decent to eat. What? No sake? Then go buy some.
He had the attitude of a king. I finally realized who my husband's role model was. As for my mother-in-law, sorry, don't just stand there. Pour a glass of wine for your father and Jean. Oh my god, young girls these days. Quick, go prepare the bath. Your father likes hot spring bath salt, so don't forget to put that in. My mother-in-law had the so-called common sense of a housewife from the old times. With parents like that, no wonder my husband became the way he was. After that, my husband drove my parents-in-law home. He would be gone for about 3 hours. 3 hours should be enough. I decided to do what I've been thinking about for a while now.
Hey, where are you? I'm starving. Get the food ready. Prepare the bath too.
Take a good look at the table in the living room.
Huh? What's this?
Divorce papers, obviously. I've already filled my part out.
This is ridiculous. How can you be so selfish? I'm a perfect husband.
Are you kidding me?
I put food on the table for you and the baby.
That's all you've ever done.
What else should I do?
It's pointless to discuss it with you. We're done. To be honest, I was almost completely disgusted with my husband when he left the baby alone at home. My in-laws' attitude also irritated me. My parents were furious when I told them about what had happened.
You need to get away from that insane family immediately!
So I started sending my belongings little by little to my parents' house. I did it when Jin was at work, and also when he went out drinking on his days off. After Jin went out to drive my in-laws home that day, I immediately called my father to come and pick me up. I had no regrets or doubts about what I did. On my way to my parents' home, I only felt relieved and happy. My parents were thrilled about living with their adorable granddaughter. I finally lived comfortably without being treated like a housemaid. I was so happy to go to bed without worrying about being disturbed by my husband. A week after returning to my parents' house and telling Jin about the divorce, Jin suddenly showed up unannounced with my mother-in-law. I thought for a moment that they had come to apologize, but Jin was clearly not that kind of man.
Have you relaxed enough? Go home and do the housework. There's a lot of laundry and cleaning to do.
He still didn't realize that I was serious about the divorce. They thought they could get me to go home and do the chores. My mother-in-law said, "This is crazy. How could you leave your husband and run away to your parents' home? I won't forgive you unless you apologize and come back immediately." I felt so disgusted that I couldn't even comment on the situation. There's a world of difference in terms of common sense between them and my family. Then my father Hideo came out from the back of the room.
No, you're ridiculous! The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree. There's no way I'll let my daughter go back to the people who treat her like a housemaid!
He's a very kind and gentle man, but he's also big and can be somewhat intimidating. Jin and his mother sensed how angry my father was and became silent.
We'll talk through a lawyer from now on. If you ever come to my house again like you did today, I will call the police!
When they heard the words lawyer and police, they quickly went home without saying anything. Maybe they finally understood how serious we were. The divorce was almost 100% caused by Jin's problem. We discussed spousal support, child support, and property division. Since I was a housewife, I didn't expect to get much from the property division. But I successfully received a decent amount of spousal and child support. I also requested that spousal and child support be paid in one lump sum. Jin had no choice but to agree to my request. Before the meeting ended, he said,
A housewife is the same as a NEET. I'm glad to be rid of the burden.
He seemed to have forgotten that he and his family basically forced me to become a full-time housewife. But I didn't get angry. I had already planned my revenge. I needed to show him what happens when he looks down on a housewife. As expected, I got a call from Jin a few weeks later.
What the hell did you do?
What do you mean?
Don't play dumb with me! I knew it was you!
Really? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, it's the embezzler's fault, don't you think? In fact, I began to wonder about this when I first thought about divorcing Jin. He seemed wealthy and could afford luxury suits, watches, and cars. He basically lived like a celebrity. After we got married, he would often buy expensive things like golf clubs and electronics. Because I got money from him for living expenses, I didn't know exactly how much he made. But since I worked at the same company before, I had a rough idea of how much his salary was. I knew it was impossible for him to have such a lavish lifestyle with his income. I thought it was strange, so I secretly accessed his home computer. And there it was. He had been spending the company's money. I collected the evidence and sent it to the company as proof of embezzlement. Of course, I did that 1 week after receiving spousal and child support. Jin was put in a tight spot. I once thought he was a good boss and took his job seriously, but he turned out to be such a disappointment. He soon got fired from his job. The company also demanded huge compensation from him. When his arrest made the news, my father said,
What a fitting end to a scumbag!
Since I was Jin's ex-wife and the one who exposed his embezzlement, I was also interviewed by the police. Later, I heard that the luxury goods Jin bought, along with the savings in the condo he owned, were all confiscated. But that wasn't enough to pay the company back. So Jin's parents became liable for the debt. In order to make the payment, his parents had to give up the tens of millions of yen they had saved for their retirement and sell their house and land. Jin was sentenced to prison nonetheless and became an ex-convict. Even though he's in his 30s, it's hard for him to find a new job. I heard he's now living in a shabby apartment with his parents. Now I'm working hard as a single mother. I'm not sure if I want to go back to my previous company, so I started working part-time in the same line of work as my old job. Since I had a lot of experience and a good position in my previous job, I was offered a position with good benefits. One day, while walking past a construction site, I suddenly heard someone calling, "Sayori!" I turned around and saw Jin. He became so disheveled that I hardly recognized him. He cried and came running to me.
I'm sorry! It was all my fault! Can you forgive me? You're all I got now! Our daughter needs her father too!
He scared me, so I quickly got into a cab and left. I nervously glanced outside the car window and made sure he didn't follow me. Jin looked completely different from the person he used to be. Apparently, he's earning his daily bread doing manual labor at construction sites. When I thought that he might be working in the area where I usually go, I got a shiver down my back. So I immediately told my parents my worries.
I'm retiring this year, and I've been thinking about joining my brother in the countryside and helping out on the farm.
You mean Uncle's farm?
Yeah. Life will probably get tougher since I may earn less than before. We could spend more time in a natural environment.
I was a little worried, but my uncle and Jin had only met once at our wedding. There's no way Jin could find out where I live and what I'm doing. My daughter's safety is my priority. So I decided to move to the country with my parents. With my knowledge of online business, I launched Moni Veggie Shop, an online store to sell my uncle's vegetables. The farm produces fresh, organic vegetables. So my shop soon gained a reputation for delivering sweet, tasty, and fragrant vegetables. A famous restaurant contracted us to supply exclusive for them, so we became very busy. I'm so glad you came here, Sayori, my uncle said with a big smile. It's been a few years since the divorce. I'm living a peaceful life and haven't had any contact with Jean. My daughter has grown up and started to help on the farm too. I never thought my life would change so much at the end of my 20s, but it did. Now I feel very fulfilled. I want to know more about the farm business, so I've been working with other farmers and asking for their advice. I put as much effort as possible into managing my online store, but I'm still in the process of learning. As a single mother, an online store manager, and a farmer, I'm determined to do my best.